Welcome to Track Limits and Emotional Damage. This is your post-Japan GP recap.
Well,
Go,
what did you
go.
think? I
Uh,
mean, yeah, can I just say, like, I'm really happy Oscar was able
yeah.
to finally, like, race and then
Mm,
podium second. Come on. It was really cool to watch him be able to lead the race for a while too. I don't
mm.
know. I'm happy.
Yeah, there was. Just from the jump. Antonelli and Russell having a tough off the line, giving Piastri the opportunity to jump past right at the turn one, as well as the Ferraris jumping past. It was a really good start. Now, we all know that the Mercedes has a lot of power and it's easy for them to turn it up when they need to. But I will say, Oscar, I had to make a note of this, but Oscar on lap 9 when he got passed by Russell, and then in those slow turns, basically let Russell go past, and then was able to turn around and overtake on the straight because of he had more power and he was doing more regeneration, slowing down. I was talking with Emily. I'm like, this is probably going to be a new strategy that'll be used throughout this new generation of cars, because it's one of those things where, do you want to use up more of your battery fighting someone, or do you want to slow down? You know they're going to get past you. Slow down, get as much battery as you can in your tank, and then that way and then let them go past. And if you let them go past at the right point, like we were seeing at the last turns of Suzuka, now you have this new strategy of, cool, they just spent all this time in battery to kind of get past you, but you have enough that as soon as you go down that turn, and like we were seeing, it was just there's no contest. Oscar was able to jump back in front of Russell. And then, I know Russell was definitely having some issues with his car, but was able to maintain that position all the way up until the safety car.
hmm Yeah, it was pretty cool to watch. I mean, this race was definitely way more enjoyable than to me. I really enjoy that, like, back and forth and
Yeah, it was really, really good to see the back and forth. And to be honest, it was right when I felt like I was starting to get a little bored with the race, was right when it started really getting into it. Is right as kind of like when the safety car happened. And
hmm
me as a Hamilton fan, you had Hamilton still out there, and then you have the slower, you have the pit stops that take less time out of the drivers for that. And I was like, there's some really cool strategy that can be played where Ferrari, I think they played their cards very right. And it was great to see, even with Leclerc missing the pit stop for the safety car because he went a little bit earlier to undercut. He still ended up P3 at the end of the day, which was great to see. Obviously, Hamilton was struggling on the tires at the very end. He was just having a hard time,
hmm
really just kind of keeping it there. But it was really good to see competitive, and I'm really excited for what we see after post break. I
hmm
will say, I think, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, I think one of the bigger stories that I don't know if anyone's talking about yet is Max Verstappen having to fight an Alpine the entire race. He was unable to pass pretty much the entire race, swapping back and forth between seventh and eighth. I don't think that the skill is lacking in for Verstappen. I think they really need to sit down and focus on that car. I was
hmm
watching the onboard, his steering wheel, even just driving was, he was all over the place. So I can only imagine. And, Red Bull really needs to get that figured out to be able to get him back up to in contention with the other cars, especially now that McLaren has seemed to gotten past the issues that they're having and figured out the Mercedes power unit.
No, I kind of agree with that. It just seems like he was having like balance issues and struggling just steering. His steering seemed really rigid and hard. And hopefully over the break they'll be able to fix that and he can come back even stronger. I mean, despite all of that, it's still impressive that he's solid midfield. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's snaps to the driver.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hopefully if they can figure their car out and then whatever issues they're having, then he might be a strong contender. But we'll see. Only time will
Yeah.
tell with that one.
Yeah, and we'll see. I'm guessing we're gonna have a really big performance jump across Miami when everyone comes back from the break. I will say I'd love to get your thoughts, and this I think is a bigger conversation because we've talked about this on previous episodes. George Russell, I don't know if you heard the radio, but he was concerned that he should have that place back, with Kimi Antonelli getting the luckier with the pit strategies that they went on. And so do we think that, Mercedes obviously has a very powerful car. They're pretty much 1-2 consistently. George Russell obviously had issues with his car today. I think they were saying that there was a little bit of damage sustained maybe during quali that they just, because of Parc Fermé, they couldn't fix. So his car may not have been optimal. But if that is the case, where we have the two Mercedes fighting for P1, P2, now all of a sudden, who's the number one driver, right? Kimi Antonelli is up and coming. His second, he's the youngest driver to win two races in a row. It's starting to look like younger Hamilton. And so, is Mercedes going to pick, do you think Mercedes is going to pick a driver, or do you think they're going to let them race until it becomes an issue?
I think they're going to let them race until it becomes an issue. I think, um, the whole pit stop, that was just bad luck. Like, there's no way to predict a safety car like that. And so they were just doing their strategy best to their knowledge. And so that, even though it sucks for him, it's just kind of like, it is what it is. It doesn't mean you just get automatically get your place back. But I just think 3 races in, they're both still competing pretty well. So I could see them letting them kind of battle it out until there's like a very you know, defined number one, number two. What do you think?
Interesting.
Interesting. It means you don't agree.
It's not that I don't. It's not. No, I
It's
don't
okay.
agree.
You don't have to agree with me.
I think that it's interesting. I think George Russell, I could see him kind of. I've played the team game. Like I would say that Norris 2 years ago, right? I've played the team. I've been, I'm the team. We need to prioritize me, and I think that Norris 2 years ago missed out on that opportunity because there wasn't really a priority. And then, even the following year when Norris did win, they did have to, at the end, they kind of had to figure it all out. But I will say, Mercedes knows this story previously, so it'll be interesting to see if they squash it early or they go racing. I don't think that they'll go racing because they can't afford, just because they have such a powerhouse, much like Red Bull, they still need 2 cars finishing in the points every race. So, you can't have George Russell being super angry and then crashing out, or vice versa, or them fighting, you can't have them racing each other and accidentally crashing like we saw in Montreal last year with Norris and Piastri, right? Because if you can't finish the race with 2 cars, now it opens the door for McLaren, for Ferrari, even Red Bull to come in and take away the constructors championship. So I don't disagree with you, but I do think that it's something that my guess is Mercedes has said, we need to keep a very, very close eye on this because this could become a bigger issue and we don't want that.
But you're a little more seasoned than me, so you got a little more insight.
No,
So,
I don't know. Yeah, no, it's good. I like it. I am excited to see. I hope it plays out your way where they let them race. Because that's going to give if the Mercedes are so powerful and Antonelli finished almost 13 plus seconds ahead of Piastri, right? And so, if the Mercedes are going to be 13 seconds ahead of the pack, like, I don't want to see a parade of Mercedes. I want to see 2 Mercedes like the Ferraris have been. I mean, it was silly for Hamilton to fight Leclerc because it ended up basically letting George Russell through as well eventually because of, obviously you got to think about recharging your batteries and managing that power. So I think it's one of those things where, like, I'd be excited to see them fight because they could actually fight without consequences of probably the cars behind them, just how well they're doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
What
talk about
else?
Oli Bearman, his
Oh,
crash. It
that
sucks,
was
dude.
Wild crash.
I think his crash is wild, and it really shows the impacts of this new regulation and like
Mhm.
how if they're not careful, these things can happen and they can be dangerous. And
Mhm.
it just sucks seeing him in pain.
Yeah, I do think that the FIA has some more work to do over the break to make sure that there's maybe some of this stuff is better defined, but obviously you don't know if the car in front of you is going to be focused on harvesting that power versus racing, and you see an opportunity or you come up quick on someone that's going a little bit slower because they're trying to regenerate. Yeah, I think it's something to say. I mean, they were saying that he hit the wall. It was a 50G impact. I mean, and even if you watch
Mm-hmm.
the onboard of Colapinto, I mean, he goes. I mean, Colapinto was going fast, and then he goes flying past him fast
Mm-hmm.
sideways. So, he was. That was no. That was no small crash. That is for sure. And I'm glad that he was all right. I saw him limping a little bit when he got out of the car, and I was like, oh no, this is. I mean, this is terrible. This could be terrible. Luckily, he has a full month to recover if
Mm-hmm.
something bad happens. But luckily, they gave the all clear, and he's a okay, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
The car, um, I was kind of mad that the one livery that I love the whole weekend got smashed.
Yeah, but it
But
looked good smashing into that wall, right?
yeah, he went full Godzilla on the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, he hit the signposts. They're pretty. I love it when they hit those foam signposts because those things just explode as they get hit, and it
Mm-hmm.
makes me smile. But I am glad that he is okay. That's really. I mean, not a lot. That's really. There's some good racing at the end.
Mm-hmm.
The Ferraris and Mercedes, McLaren. Um, I think that there was a lot of great back and forth, and obviously, it seemed like a lot of good new strategy that we get to watch out for from a pit strategy and harvesting and how you attack and how you let defend.
I do have a question, kind of as a noob. So I know there's like a rule about like if a car is like pretty dominant in front, like Mercedes has been doing, other teams get more like development time. Are they going to get that during the break or like how does that work? Because it seems like Mercedes has been like so far ahead, like what 14 seconds finishing. I would think that other teams now would get more of that. I guess I don't really fully know. I don't know if you can help me understand, brother.
Yeah, so this one's an interesting one. So basically, if they can show that another team percentage wise is doing better than another team, like total power, like I believe it's total power. It Once that percentage gets to a certain point with other teams, then those teams unlock a little extra development time to try and catch up. I think it's specific to the regulations of this with the new engine. It gives basically manufacturers that may not have a highly tuned engine right away, gives them a little extra development time if they're too far behind.
Mhm.
I would need to look up. Uh, I th- I would need to look up what like the specifics because I'm not 100% sure because that's actually relatively new to me as well. But how I understand it is basically if you're a certain percentage in performance behind the leader, it unlocks extra development time for you to try and catch up. And I think most teams were within that, and that was really the when a lot of people were like, "Is Mercedes sandbagging?" That was really what people were referring to is were they slowing themselves down intentionally so that they're not
To
showing
avoid
so much
that.
performance to not unlock that extra development time for the teams behind them.
I do have to say, I did notice something during this Grand Prix during the practices. I realized in some shots, Total Wolf really looks like the Grinch, you know, like the, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, they really like to get his like obviously because they
Like
got
a
they've
serious
been getting
face.
some good memes out of him. I feel like it's like now you have to have like a total wolf up close like at beginning of race, middle of race, end of race, to get all of his ranges of emotions.
I just noticed
Yeah.
during his like more serious one, or sometimes it just he has the same face structure as like the Grinch, you know.
Mm. Yeah. They really like cutting to him, especially with like with how well they're doing. But it could change. I mean, obviously McLaren's on the Mercedes power unit, so McLaren was pretty competitive this weekend. So maybe they've started to unlock a little bit more, and if they can get their platform down, it could start giving Mercedes a little bit more run for their money, which would be nice for the rest of the season, just to keep it spicy. What I am excited about, and Emily and I would both talked about this, is Monaco. The Ferraris, that sector 3 on those like low speeds corners and the passing and everything, I am excited for Monaco because I think Ferrari actually has a really, based on the car that they have now, if we exclude any development, I do think that they'd be super competitive for that race. So I'm really excited. And I think we should do a virtual like champagne brunch while we watch that race. Be like, mimosas in F1. That'll be the title of that.
I'm down.
Ooh, this is a fancy. Look at me, I'm on my not yacht. We can just get like yacht pictures in the back.
Usually, yeah. Just like a sound machine.
Yeah.
Like whale
every
noises.
once in a while it's like, oh, see, I told you I'm in the ocean.
It's so believable.
Yeah, nobody's
Oh
gonna.
my God.
Nobody's gonna know. They're not gonna know.
Oh my God, I love it. I'm down for that.
Right. That'd be fun because that would be only a couple weeks after Miami, so pretty close to when we get back. Yeah. Well, that's our recap of the race. It was a great race, and we got to see a lot of really good racing back and forth. Super excited about the upcoming next race will be Miami. We do have a little bit of a break, but we're excited to bring you any news as it breaks throughout the next month. Yeah, keep watching, like and subscribe.